But Dan Cohen, thanks for joining us again. I know that you're not having it easy. I saw some of the death threats that are being sent to you. And I know that in the United States, actually things have gone mad. At least there was a body of political opinion, we might call them the Trumpers, in the United States that were opposed to Joe Biden's war in Ukraine, and they had many big names attached to that opposition. But the right wing, the populists, the Trumpites are gung-ho for the slaughter in Gaza. How come?
Well, they simply don't have principles in their anti-war position. I mean, they've long been saying that they want the United States to stop focusing on funding the Ukraine proxy war and focus on China. That's what they've been seething for. And so I've advocated allying with the populist right with Ukraine, because this is just simple politics. We need as many people as possible to stop a war. But in this instance, when it comes to Israel, there is pro-war as anybody. So it's a very revealing moment. I mean, in terms of the harassment and threats I'm getting, it's I'm too laser focused, and I've seen too much in Gaza itself to worry about chatter on Twitter. But I mean, we're in a remarkable moment, George. I don't know if you saw this. I just saw right now, before we started, Hamas actually released an Israeli woman and her child who from captivity. And there's video that Al Jazeera published showing them crossing the fence and being taken by Israeli authorities. So Hamas is actually demonstrating goodwill towards the Israeli public, the Israeli people, while Israel is obliterating Gaza and inventing stories about beheaded Israeli babies. I mean, this is remarkable.
Now, I saw a tweet from you. You bar mitzvahed in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, I forget which, but you also lived in Gaza. That's quite a journey. Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, just any Jewish American, I was raised with the idea that Israel was some kind of liberal, inclusive, diverse paradise where Jews had a home. And so I had my bar mitzvah there with my family. And then years later, when I became more critical and I dove into journalism, I went to live in Palestine for some years and see what it was really like. And that was my initial experience in journalism. And that included 7 months inside the Gaza Strip, in which I filmed the documentary Killing Gaza, which I made with Max Blumenthal, and we released some years ago. So I don't think there is really any journalist in the United States or maybe in the West that has as intimate of a knowledge of both Palestinian and Israeli society as I do. So it's given me very unique insights, and I feel very privileged to be able to have had those experiences.
That's why they won't debate with you. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Dan, you could wipe the floor with them precisely because of this identity of yours.
And not only, my identity certainly is one thing, but just, the fact that I've seen what Israeli state terrorism in Gaza means. I've seen the dead children. I've seen Israeli bunker busters take down 14-story tower buildings, that I later saw an Israeli general compare to 9/11. So I've seen too much. I know too much about what Israel does. I've seen their crimes, and so they won't let me on any mainstream media. They won't debate me. I just had the Israeli embassy in the U.S. attacking me on Twitter, calling me a spokesperson for Hamas, simply for saying that Israel should negotiate with Hamas to secure the release of these hostages and captives inside the Gaza Strip. And then, of course, Hamas releases one of the most vulnerable, the mother and child. So, I mean, there's just no way that any Zionist, any Israeli official can debate me Neither will the right wing, any of these fake populist right wing phonies, Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro or Barry Weiss, who claims to be anti-woke but is just lying all the time. So they're all frauds, and I can expose them, but they're just afraid to debate me. It's that simple.
Yes, I know that feeling myself. The film that you made with Max Blumenthal, may God preserve him, is fantastically good and still available on YouTube. You can still watch it. You can watch it after this show, and you should. But you're now proposing to make another, which I predict will be a real blockbuster. Tell us about that.
Well, so I've been working on a film for several years that I can't actually say what exactly the contents are, what it's about right now, because I'm in the process of fundraising in order to secure the rights to it. But I can guarantee it is basically the most explosive film about Israeli society. I think that that I have seen, and it's partially done. And so I'm intending to finish it and release it as soon as I can secure the funding and complete the edition. And with, I was planning to finish it in the spring, but with the explosion from Palestine, the moment is now. So, if anyone wants to contribute to that effort, you can go to my Twitter. There are all kinds of ways to donate. You can find me on Patreon at Uncaptured Media. My pinned tweet has a link to go buy me a coffee. You can contribute there. So the sooner I'm able to fundraise, the sooner I'll be able to finish and release this documentary. But I wish I could say more. As soon as I'm able to secure the rights to it, to secure the documentary, I'll release a trailer, and this I think will show what it's really about.
I look forward to it. Now, your courage, your integrity shines like a beacon. And there are others who are Jewish. In his case, is also an Israeli and living and working in Israel. How's that for courage? Gideon Levy traverses the country. He was yesterday down in the south. He was visiting the kibbutz that were attacked by the Palestinian fighters, where people had lost people, family members, and so on. And of course, he rightly enunciates a sense of anguish and pain for people's loss, and yet makes the point that Netanyahu is to blame for this. Now, it's only a few months ago that everybody was saying that, Dan. Every liberal journalist in the world was denouncing Netanyahu. Just weeks ago, actually. How have they found it so easy to forget all that and fall in behind Netanyahu and now Gantz in the war party? I don't get it.
It's amazing. It's like the memory of a goldfish. I mean, it wasn't long ago, as you're saying, that they were calling Netanyahu prime minister and demanding he be imprisoned. But those are for kind of smaller crimes in Israeli society, not for the war crimes, the crimes against humanity that he has overseen against the Palestinian people, which is the real, actual, the serious crimes that he's committed. And so once Netanyahu, the failures of the Israeli government led by Netanyahu to anticipate this operation from Gaza, despite warnings from Hamas directly saying that the situation needs to change, the siege needs to be lifted, and warnings from Egyptian intelligence about there was something imminent. All of this was ignored by Netanyahu and his fanatical regime of settlers and Kahanists who are bent on just expanding their colonies in the West Bank and ethnically cleansing Jerusalem. So they completely ignored Gaza, and I think they were drunk on their own power, their hubris. But now that their incredible failures have led to a massive war, of unprecedented scale in Israel, they're all lining up behind him. All of the liberals who were denouncing him are all lining up behind him as some kind of hero. So it's really remarkable. And meanwhile, you have Bezalel Smotrich, one of Netanyahu's top allies, the finance minister, who is now saying, let's not worry about those hostages. We need to hit Gaza really hard. So I think what we have to ask, and what the Israeli public should be asking, is the Israeli military strategy to bomb Gaza so hard that it kills the hostages that are being held undoubtedly underground in the tunnel complex. This would be in line with the Hannibal Directive, which is the Israeli military policy that any soldier that is taken into captivity will be bombed and killed, so their opponents do not have any leverage. That's precisely what happened in 2014 when Al-Qassam, the Palestinian armed group, took captive Hadar Golden in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, and they enacted the Hannibal Directive, bombed the area massively, killed hundreds of Palestinians, and killed Hadar Golden. So we have to ask, is that what they're doing now? But not just with one soldier, with some 150 Israelis, including not only many soldiers and top commanders, but also civilians, grandmothers and children, and people who need to be negotiated for their safety promptly. So it's the most cynical thing I've ever seen. And, the Israeli public should be outraged at Netanyahu.
I suspect that they will. Gideon Levy said today that this cannot possibly end with Netanyahu still in power, and I'm sure that that is true. How can people find your work, Dan? I know that many will be wanting to, especially after this interview. They'll want to support your film. Tell us where you can most easily be found.
Well, I'm very active on Twitter at Dan Cohen 3000. A lot of my work I do for Redacted, the YouTube or Rumble channel with Clayton and Natalie Morris. And I also have my own small outlet, Uncaptured Media. That's the jumble of letters behind me that you see, where I'll be doing work there as well. So anything, people can contribute, even if it's moral support, I appreciate. But if you can contribute a couple dollars or pounds, then it's much appreciated, and it will help me get towards that goal. So thank you, George, so much.